Mark here, and welcome to the 10-Acre Woods. We have a special weather advisory. You always gotta love it when they come up with these special advisories. We are supposedly, from now until Tuesday, Wednesday, are quote-unquote moving into a quick transition to fall. So temperatures are gonna go down. It's gonna get close to frost on Tuesday night, I think. And the wind that you can hear and see is supposed to be getting up to about 90 kilometers an hour, which is between 50 and 60 miles an hour. So it's supposed to be a pretty good one anyway. Now, birds. So we did get some more birds in, and this time of year we do. Generally it's muscovies and chickens and kind of leftovers from the year. Maybe people don't have the room to house them over the winter time, and they bring them in here, or they've lost a couple other ones, and there's just a few kicking around, which was the situation with these three here. So we have Salt, Pepper, and Mocha. Now these three are roosters that a family hatched out, and they had three roosters and one hen. I believe the hen's name was Frappuccino, but the hen passed away. So they were left with the three roosters. So this one here, I believe, is a cross. This one, of course, looks like a Polish. And I believe the big boy here is a cross as well. Sheldon! Sheldon! Over here, Sheldon. Hi, bud. Is there a storm brewing? He's got the strangest looks. He comes out, and if you saw that drone footage when I was coming across the grass here, he was over on the building looking around. I think he was confused as to what was making the noise. Now these are Muscovy ducks. This is a female Muscovy, and they don't quack like your traditional ducks. We'll just let him walk through. Oh, or not. So the Muscovy ducks are native to South America, and you'll find them in the wild, from my understanding, as far north as Florida. What are you doing? Are you trying to attack me? Okay, no, 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 you're not the boss of me. The other day, our son Braxton came out here, and these guys started chasing them. No. Oh, nice, you just wiped out. You got to practice a little bit, buddy. Okay. Getting back to the duck here, the Muscovy. So Muscovies, this is a female, and they don't quack like traditional ducks do. The Muscovy isn't a descendant of the mallard, which all the other ducks are. And the female has kind of a squeak. And that's pretty much it. They're silent most of the rest of the time. The males have kind of a rasp, so we'll see a couple males in a little bit here. Then we have a few other ones. One that does have a name here is Henry. Hi, Henry. Now, I believe Henry is a Cochin, probably a cross, but he looks kind of Cochin, Bantam. And he's been here for quite some time. And then we've got a few other ones that no, not all of them do have names. Hi, Tulip. How you doing? Got Tulip and Turbo. And we've had... Sheldon, what are you doing? This is probably why Turbo has been banging the gate. Tara's put this board in here to hold it because Turbo will ram the gate, and it's connected at these hinges. There's just a friction with a piece of cutout pipe here, just to hold it in place. And as you can see, it's been pushed in already. It's Sheldon that's instigating. That's my guess. So our geese. On the left here we have Chinese geese, or also known as Chinese swans. And we had three of them, but we lost one of the females in the springtime. So it was Jan Goddard that brought them in, so we named them Jan God and Ard. And we have a male, which is the far one, and the female is the closer one. So you can kind of tell by the size of them. And when they're wandering around, you can also tell because the males are usually more protective. Now these guys here, they look like Emden geese, but they're quite a bit smaller than Emden geese. I'm believing that they are Czech geese. They also look like pilgrim geese, the male pilgrim geese. But of course there is a female in there, and the female pilgrims are a brown color. So that brings us to the rowan ducks, which a lot of people mistaken them for mallards because they look exactly like them. We have a cross over here, and this is your standard female coloring. Now those are females. I believe this one is a cross male. Just by his demeanor and the coloring on the head. The green isn't quite there, but it's, and that's how you can tell that they're crosses. They don't have that nice color, more similar to this one over here, which he is also a cross, but you can see he's got some broken colors on his head. And then we have Bubba. So Bubba is a pekin duck, and we've got two pekins here. One is Bubba and one is Fred. Fred has a little tuft on the top of his head, and he generally hangs out up front. And then we have Hi, which follows me around all the time and grabs my ankles. So this is a male or Drake Muscovy. Wow, look at that wind. Right, Petey? Petey? What are you looking for, buddy? Getting all those grubs? So we're gonna have to start thinking about closing up for wintertime. So we're now into September. Usually here in Manitoba we get snow that stays on the ground. Halloween is kind of that. You know, sometimes it'll be a little sooner, sometimes a little later. But if there's snow on the ground, Halloween, that generally means it's going to be white. It's going to remain. So, Levi, you were out back earlier, hanging out, getting some apples. All right, let's go inside. Because there's something that I missed last week that I didn't show you guys. Hi, Meadow. How you doing, girl? And Daisy's doing extremely well. So coming into the barn here, I don't want to disturb her too much, but if you remember, we had a hen, and there she is there, that we were trying to hatch out some guinea fowl eggs. And she has taken. So she's been here last week. She was sitting, so she's been sitting for a couple weeks now. So she's sitting on a bunch of guinea eggs. If the guinea eggs are viable, which we hope they are, we should be getting some guinea fowl in no time. And they will likely stay in for the winter. This is a hen, a black Australorp hen. And we'll usually put them in here. We'll put the guinea fowl in there for the winter time, just because they're a little too young. Now, I had a story, somebody had told me just this past week, and we were talking about guinea fowl, and they said they got some from a friend of theirs, and they went and they put them into the barn, and they were in there for 3 or 4 days, and the husband said, yeah, we can put them out now. I'm sure they'll be fine. And they put them out and they disappeared. So guinea fowl, they like to wander. We usually enclose the guinea fowl. Well, if these are young, we'll keep them inside just for the whole winter time. But generally, if we get some guinea fowl in, we'll keep them inside the building probably for about a month. Just to make sure that they're going to hang around. And at that time, there's really no guarantee that they're going to stay. You still get some wandering guinea fowl. And their use is for wood ticks. So they eat a lot of wood ticks, and we don't have any wood ticks here on our yard. And there's a few different reasons for that. One of them is Well, we've got the guinea fowl, and the other one is we've got all the goats and sheep that are all back there, and they're chewing down all of that grass, all of the tall grass, which is where the ticks like to hang out. And that's when you walk through the tall grass and they kind of jump onto your leg, and then you get home and there you go, you got to find a wood tick on you. Whenever you have guineas, just kind of tuck them away for the time being. You may even need to clip their wings, keep them locked up. We have ours locked up right now, and it's in a netted full enclosure area. But of course, they're not going to be able to get those ticks and forage for those. So it's kind of a, it's a trial and error. Hi, Moira. How you doing? You guys were out back almost all day. Those short little legs must be tired. So was Petey and Piper. Petey's out there rooting around with Hi. I'm not sure where Piper is. Now, coming over into this area, so here are the guinea fowl. So they're in this area here. We want to kind of rework this area here. We've been talking about some different plans on how to enclose this, and possibly using some of the wire that we got for the greenhouse and building a few different enclosures. So the chickens in here are, we have Colombian Rock there, we have some Isa Brown, and of course the guinea fowl. I think that's the, we do have a couple crosses that are in there as well. Fernando, buddy! So we showed Fernando in the last video and showed how he was molting. Where are you going, buddy? Come here. Yes. So here we can see some improvement. You can see the straws, and you can see those feathers that are just coming out from all those straws. So it's going to take some time to grow feathers. And on the top here, yeah, I know. Are you whining, Fernando? What is it? So those are all those little paintbrushes that you can see coming out. Those are Fernando's feathers. So as I mentioned, there's different ducks that hang out in different areas. And these two here, so we have Selena, which is this gray female here, and the drake. I don't believe this drake has a name, actually. So we get a few in. Sometimes they do come in with names, but not all the time. So we got to keep up on our names, I guess. A couple other ones are here. So this is Fred, and you can see that tuft on his head. And then he has a couple, I believe these are Ancona ducks, females. So you can tell, you can understand why we get crosses, because they crossbreed between duck breeds. And who do we have here? So these are the Cayugas. So we have Kai there in the center. If you listen, you can hear a wah wah, and then of course you can hear a quack. So the males make that little raspy attempt at a quack, and then of course the females actually have the full-on quack. You protecting your girls, bud? Good job. And they usually hang out up here. So it's I don't know, we've put them back, and they hang out in the pond a little bit, but they just prefer to be up here with the boys. What are you doing? Are you trying to headbutt me while I'm not looking? What is it, bud? Are you lonely? Is Billy not playing with you? So if you've been recently following us, Carl's horns used to be quite large, but they like banging on trees and hitting things with their head. So he had broken off the tip at one point, and then not long after that he broke off the other side as well. Hey, are you a goof? So Billy's around here somewhere. Billy! Oh, Carl. So they have a musk to them, which isn't all that pleasant. You kind of get used to it after a while. What are you doing? And he's just putting his scent on me is what he's doing. Billy! Billy's too proud to be on camera, isn't he? So we've got these two boys that are up front here. And then, of course, they will go into our back area, likely in November, for spring babies. Now, there are certain goats that we don't want bred. And what we will do is we will put them inside the building at that point. But actually, I think all of them are, we don't want to breed goats that are too young. So they have to be at least a year old. So it's generally a year and a half old. Hi, Billy. How you doing, bud? He's hanging out. He did take the tip off of his horn as well, which is giving you a nice close-up, I think. He's checking out the tripod. Okay, boys, I gotta go. So I decided I'd come inside for this portion of it because it's just so windy outside. I'm hoping you heard what I've said already. Now I want to talk about feathers, and this is something I've talked about in the past. It was about 2 years ago I did a video on this, and the ability for feathers to essentially repair themselves, well, of course with the duck's help. This one here is, I believe this is actually a pigeon feather, but they all pretty much work the same. So this one, if I'm going to get any focus here, yeah, is in good shape. So if I go and I tear it, you know, they go and they land on a tree and they catch. If it's going to focus, got to put it in front of my face here. There we go. So it's damaged. Now, what they do, and of course ducks and geese have a gland just under their back feathers, on their back end. And what they'll do is they'll rub their beak on that and it excretes an oil. And then that oil goes onto their feathers, which then helps them become waterproof. So what happens is each side of each one of these tines that come out, think of it as kind of like a Velcro that interlinks together. And what the bird will do is they'll just kind of rub it. And as you can see there, like magic, it is back to its original form. So you can try this. If you go out and get a feather, it works good with most feathers. Just, you know, tear it. If they're in pretty rough shape, it might be a little tough if they're old. And then you just kind of rub it in kind of an upward motion, the way the feathers go. And then voila, you're back in business. So that is how, you know, feathers work. This one here, I'm not sure whose feather this is, but it's the same kind of deal. So we tear it, damage, and then again kind of preen it, which that's the name of the feather gland, or the gland is the preen gland. I'm sure there's a scientific name for it, but you know, it's just much easier to say the preen gland. And there you go. It's back and repaired. Well, it's nice to see you guys enjoying the water. It's going to be ice in a couple months. And then what will you do? So that brings us to what we do in the winter months. So we do put them over into that area there. And we're actually, and I did kind of discuss this in the last video, we want to change things up a little bit because it's always hard with water. Water, you know, and ducks, they just love to play in the water. And when you put a dish out, they will play in it until the water is gone. And Muscovy ducks, like our friend Hi here, they are a little bit better at water management. And they can go in and they can just drink from it and not necessarily play in it. They do bathe in it from time to time, but not nearly as much as the other ducks here that we have. Now the gland, that preening gland on the Muscovy, isn't developed as much as it is with the other ducks. Now again, the other ducks are all descendants of the mallard duck, and Muscovies are not. So that's kind of the difference. They're not as waterproof as the other ducks, so they generally don't play in the water nearly as much. And again, their preening gland isn't developed as much either. Okay, so here we have some cleaning going on. Just kind of, you know, right after bathing, they get in there and they, you know, fix those feathers. And that's what they're doing right now. They're kind of getting all those feathers. They're checking them out. They want to make sure that they are, you know, they're in tip-top shape. Now, of course, these ducks can't fly. They're too large to fly. So these are domestic rowan and crosses and the domestic breeds. Now you will, ooh boy, that's some wind. You will find that some ducks and some crosses are small enough that they actually can fly. And we had one a few years ago. It was a cross, and we named her Rogue. And she was quite small. Now the females generally are smaller, but she was smaller, and she would actually fly over to the neighbors and check out their pond and then fly back in the evening. Now if you watch a duck or goose when they get out of the water, they're not doing it there because they're in the water, but when they're in there and they're drying themselves off, cleaning themselves up, you'll see that they take their beak and they tuck it in back on their tail feathers, or just above their tail feathers, and that is where that preening gland is. So they get the oils on their beak, and then they come in and then they'll rub on the feathers, and that's how they get their waterproofing. So I thought I'd come back here. Looks like everybody's all sparsely laid out, because what's a video without going and checking out all the animals, right? So we've already seen Petey. Now back here we have Bronwyn, we have the alpacas, we have, it looks like Turbo over there. There's another sheep there, I think that's Daisy. So here's another sheep here. This looks like Tulip, and they're just scattered all over. Now when it rains, well, then they all just come running in, except for the alpaca. The alpaca, they might saunder in, but they actually like the water. It's kind of crazy. The ponies as well. Most of the time they'll go in, but you know, if they've got some hay over here and we get a storm that comes in, they'll just hang out and eat, and it doesn't really bother them too much. And here is our field. It's not much of a field, but it's just there's no trees growing in this area. And this is where the alpacas like to hang out here. Now our property, you can see here where, you know, there's the electric fence that runs down. It comes across, and then it runs down this way. So there is a section of our property that is in that area right there that is untouched. We haven't done anything with it. We have railway tracks way down there, so you can kind of get an understanding on how far that section goes. So the plan is, I'm just waiting for a Gallagher smart fence. So we do have Gallagher as one of our supporters, one of our sponsors, and then a company for LED flashlights called Olight LED. And Gallagher is sending me some equipment, and it's a really neat fencing system. It's called a smart fence. Think of it as an electric fence meets fishing, a deep sea fishing reel. And what it is you actually stick your first one out, and then you pull it back and you put in a temporary fence. I believe it's about 300 to 350 feet long you can go. And then once you're done, you just reel it back up and bring the pegs back in, and they lock into place. So it's a really neat system. I'm just waiting for them to send me one of those units. And then what I'm going to do is, from this point, I'm going to take the smart fence and go back to the tracks there. Now there is some fencing at the back. We'll have to confirm what condition it's in. And then what we're going to do is we're likely going to take out the bottom 3 lines here. so that the goats and sheep can get in. The ponies don't need to get in there, so we'll probably leave the top 2 on. And you can see all this lush grass in here and trees. They're going to love this. I'm not sure if it's going to be this year. I'm hoping it is, but we'll see what happens in the coming videos. And then that'll just give us an idea to clear this out and to figure out what we're going to do with it. The whole idea I have with this section back here is I want to thin some of it out, and I'm thinking down the road I want to put in solar panels, and I want to have an array, and this is probably the best spot for it because it's a large open field area. So there's Coco. She is in the back corner here. But as I mentioned, it's not actually the back corner because there's all this area. It's actually a little bit larger than, you know, now that I look at it, there's quite a few trees in there. So we've got some oak. We've got some oak all sparsely in there. We've got some pretty good looking poplars there. Pretty large. But, you know, we'll clear it up and see what it looks like. Clear out the bottom stuff. There's actually quite a bit of oak. So all in this area. So this is where some of the other sheep are. Who's that? That looks like George here. And then we have Daisy made her way back. And here's Holly. Foraging. Whoa, windy. And then Coco and Petunia. So Billie Jean must be back further. Oh, there's Piper over there. So they're all kind of scattered. I was out here taking some photos earlier to post onto Instagram and Facebook, trying to keep that up because people want to see the pictures. It's a matter of getting out there and doing it. So I was out. I was pretty much done. There was a few goat pictures that I wanted to take. And then of course Tara goes out onto the deck and yells out, "Mamas, babies!" And of course they just bolted. So they know her voice in the morning if she walks outside and we're out sitting on the deck having a cup of coffee or something. And sometimes she'll talk a little too loud and then you just hear them all just start baaing. It's quite interesting. Well, would you look at this? There's one tree down, or a branch anyway, and another branch over there. So that wind is wreaking some havoc. Some of these old trees aren't doing so well. This one here should probably even come down. It doesn't even look like it's alive anymore. There's a few branches kind of coming off of it. Okay, so the goats are in the back. Actually, I think the goats are over here. Come on, mamas! Come on! Come and get it! Fresh fallen tree! Come on! What are you doing, Charlotte? There we go. They're always about the leaves. Come on, Blackie. Come on. They're like, no, we're full. Look at all the leaves here. Now, some of them are enjoying them. Others not so much. I'm surprised though that Blackie's not having any. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Tara did a bunch of harvesting in the garden. I think she's going to be pulling out the rest of them. So I think what we'll do is maybe do a time lapse on that and then go over her harvest in the next video. So that is it. So that's kind of a rundown on, well, pretty much everybody. Ducks and chickens and geese, which here they come here. Geese really love greens as well, so they may come over and grab some of those leaves. So until next video, I hope you have a wonderful week. Enjoy. I hope you enjoyed your Labor Day weekend. If you're celebrating that, it's celebrated in Canada, in the US, and parts of the Caribbean the first Monday of September, and then in Australia, as well as in Central and South America, I think it's May and March. It's kind of broken up in Australia. They celebrate it at different times. But I hope you have an enjoyable week, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.